6, 7. Literally. Oh, hi, my name is Ron Bass, and I'll be telling you about the Anchor expansion project here. I'm a spokesperson here for the city of Charlottesville regarding the Anchor team. So the Anchor team was established here in the city of Charlottesville in 2024. And then what this team essentially does is we try to focus on crisis intervention at the point of contact rather than being reactive and criminalization of people that are going through crisis. So this is more of a statewide expansion project. Focus on, it's called the Marcus Alert Grant. So with this, it's focused on basically providing mental health care rather than necessarily police response, and it's trying to reduce that police response when there is crisis intervention needed. So what this expansion project is going to be focused on, it's going to be focused on the expansion of crisis trained officers, part-time clinicians, and the dispatch and data coordination staff. It's also going to be focused on basically the expansion of the already software upgrades that are needed to basically help just make this more of an effective process. So with that being said, we're focused on two main things with this project. Being conceptually practical, so basically being more effective. We want to provide more effective on-site care and be more personal with the people that we're dealing with. We're also wanting to decriminalize more mental health and provide them with the actual resources that they need rather than be reactionary rather than proactive. So then the second part is we want to be physically conservative. We want to be mindful of your dollars. So this is going to be a 4-phased project. So the first phase is going to be focused on the shared analytics and further stabilizing operations. So what this means is we're improving that dispatching software for both our responders and our dispatchers. So whenever there's a call, when it comes to say like a scene or that, it automatically typically goes to 911. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this where it's a more fluid operation between 911 and 988, which is the crisis intervention number. So whenever there's a call, it's gonna have to meet certain criteria, and then there'll be dispatcher coordinated. It's either gonna be the crisis team, it's gonna be 911, or it's gonna be a mixture of both depending on the criteria of the scene. Phase 2 is gonna be focused on the 6-day coverage expansion. So currently this Anchor team operates on a 5-day coverage window, and it typically just works within the work week. What this is going to focus on is providing a team that goes a little bit into the weekend, so that 6-day coverage, to provide those that do have mental health issues on the weekends, actually coverage for their situations. Phase 3 is also focused on that. So it's focused on the expansion to a 16-hour model. So what we're going to do is we're going to have more of a pilot, like weekend on-call team that is designated just to the weekends. So we're going to try to basically reduce the burden upon our already team that works within the work week by having its own team that is able to respond to your guys' needs. Phase 4 is the case navigator. This is more of a proactive approach rather than being even reactive when it comes to providing crisis intervention at the scene. What the case navigator is going to do is try to reduce the almost unwillingness for some people to search out for care because they're afraid of bureaucratic barriers. So what the case navigator will do is basically guide people to the correct resources that they need in advance of if there would ever be a mental health issue. So when it comes to funding, we operate on an annual $720,000 operating budget, and this expansion is going to go all the way to $1.1 million, where it's going to be capped annually before it goes through an audit and all that sorts. So this program is going to be kickstarted by the Marcus Alert Crisis Intervention Team Grant Program. This is going to be giving us a generous $100,000 to truly kickstart this program for a one-time donation. And this program is going to be really focused on connecting community members to stabilizing providers for long-term support. So what we're trying to do is truly provide meaningful care rather than just on the scene crisis intervention. Provide prevention and harm reduction services in an effort to reduce recurring interventions. So once again, rather than have to be going every other weekend to basically help with crisis intervention, which we will do, we would like to truly have meaningful care. De-escalate and support residents who are in the moment of crisis by providing immediate support at the moment. So we don't want to necessarily reach the residents after the crisis had already occurred. We want to meet them at the point of contact to provide them the care that they need. And then lastly, prevent others alternative options for resolution, including but not limited to incarceration, bodily injury, or even death by suicide. Far too many times that this is ultimately the resolution that comes as a result of the lack of crisis intervention. And this was seen in Roanoke when it came to the late Marcus David Peters, which was a 24-year-old teacher. He had a mental or manic episode, and as a result, he ultimately lost his life as a result of police response rather than necessarily crisis intervention, which he truly needed because he had just mental health issues. So here for the city of Charlottesville, we are really focused on trying to expand that mental health coverage and truly make an impact for your guys' life while also being financially conservative with your guys' dollars. And this expansion program is really focused on trying to truly make a change for all the people that live within our jurisdiction. So thank you. And with the help of the Lord's Coffee, we're gonna make this expansion project truly practical.
Hello, my name is Maddie Todd, and I'm a business owner in Charlottesville, Virginia. I run a company that's worth upwards of $50 million, and I would like to urge you, the Charlottesville City Council, to support and fund the City of Hope capital campaign by the Salvation Army in Charlottesville. Currently, Charlottesville is facing a huge problem of homelessness, as 200 plus people are on the streets every night. This was brought to the Charlottesville City Council in 2024, as agencies who support the homeless and help house them brought great concern that this was happening in our city. Therefore, I propose that we must fund the new construction of the City of Hope proposed by the Salvation Army. Currently, the building that stands today was built in 1960, and though it's a great facility, it requires expansion. The City of Hope capital campaign proposed by Charlottesville Salvation Army has requested that they expand the facility by 15,000 square feet. This expansion would also include another 114 beds, which 55 bed increase, so 114 total, as well as an increase in the playroom for both adults and children by 2,000 square feet. In addition, this project would add 4 new classrooms, which would provide valuable training for people hurting with mental health crises. It would also add 44 seats total to this new classroom. Lastly, it would provide a large new dining hall, which we'll get to that later on how that's going to be funded and named. So, what should we do about this problem? We should fund the Salvation Army's campaign. The city in 2024 already approved the use of $3 million and the American Rescue Plan funding for this project. This shows that the city is already invested in helping our homeless. Therefore, we shouldn't stop there. Right now, the project needs another $2.3 million in cash funding for this project by December 31st, or else the project will not get started. In addition, they need another $1.2 million in pledged giving to reach the 66% amount of funding for the project to even begin construction. Therefore, it's imperative that we raise these funds by December 31st, or else this crisis is only going to be perpetuated. Currently, the project funding goal is $28 million. Right now, the Salvation Army has raised around $15 million, which is a great amount. However, we still need to reach those amounts of $2.3 million and $1.2 million to get the project started, as previously stated. Therefore, to fund this project, I propose that the City Council allocate first the Community Development Block Grant to the Salvation Army. This grant is given to people who help low and moderate income families and help address pressing community needs. Therefore, we should allocate $100,000 of the $578,000 worth of funding within the Community Development Block Grant. This is one way we can fund the project. In addition to this, we need to use the Housing Operations Program Services Grant, which comes with funds from the Capital Improvement Plan. This is for nonprofits and other organizations that also provide valuable housing to the homeless. We should request and fund $287,000 from this grant to the Salvation Army's capital campaign plan. Total funding available is $575,000 for this. In addition to these 2 grants, it is valuable for us to promote the Neighborhood Assistance Program. This program provides tax credits to individuals and businesses who donate to nonprofits, and this should include the Salvation Army. Therefore, what the City Council should do is promote individuals and businesses donating to the Salvation Army's City of Hope campaign plan and reach the funds that way. Total raised, the goal would be $3.125 million, which would help us reach the $18.5 million that we need to begin the project. We can promote the Neighborhood Assistance Program through social media, the local newspaper, journals, and other resources to spread the word that we need to fund this project. Finally, once we hit the $18.5 million required for the project, A very generous donor named Charles Van Allen has stated that he will fund the rest of the project, the total $28 million. Therefore, he will contribute, if we reach our goal by December 31st, on January 1st, he will contribute $9.5 million to the project, and then in January of 2027, we'll contribute the next $9.5 million in order to complete this project. He is so generous for this. In addition to that, he has required and requested that this project he will need to name the community dining room the Van Allen Dining Hall, which we will certainly do for his generosity. Therefore, these are the ways that we can fund this incredible project proposed by the Salvation Army. It's imperative that we help the homeless and address this pressing community need. So will you help us support the Salvation Army and their incredible goal?
On guard, as housing prices are being dueled over in Charlottesville, Virginia, I offer a proposal to the City Fund Council that there would be a neighborhood that would be built on 54 parcel Free Union Road. The reason why we are doing this is so that way the dueling will come to a truce. And as job opportunities rise and the worker availability is few, we want to make sure that we have enough workers for the labor that we need in Charlottesville, Virginia. And so I propose to the City Council 3 grants that we would give to Martin Horn tax collectors, contractors. And as a result of this, I offer that the City Fund Council gives 3 grants to the Martin Horn contractors for the building of these 5 single-family homes. The first grant is the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Grant, and I would propose that we get $100,000 out of $820,000 for this, and that it would be renewed annually. The second grant would be the Charlottesville Community Block Grant, as the eligibility for the Community Block Grant would be the economic development. So as we in Charlottesville City, we need to build up our housing and our workforce for these rising job opportunities. So we need the block grant, and then additionally, we also need the home investment grant, and we would need $20,000 out of $112,000 for that. And the home investment grant will go towards the workers, the people who are wanting to work for these rising job opportunities, so that they would have a place for them to stay with their families.
Hi, my name is Emily Das, and I'm a professor at UVA. I stand on I'm the distinguished chair for the School of Government, and I have an education proposal for you. Currently, Charlottesville City has a population of roughly 44,000 people, and 10% of this population is comprised of its students. Right now, there are overcrowding issues facing multiple of the schools within Charlottesville City. And this is why we have an education proposal that would not only create more learning opportunities for students, but would provide a whole new facility building to address these specific overcrowding issues. The proposal that we have comes in 2 phases. It specifically involves UVA leasing a property known as the Oak Lawn property that resides in Charlottesville City right now. Basically what has happened is, as of September 5th, the University of Virginia board met to lease over the property to Charlottesville City schools. They are doing so for $1 a month, or $1 a year. And basically what will happen is there are 2 distinct phases. During the first phase of this 5-year-long project, UVA will lease this property for $1 to Charlottesville City schools, and during the first year of phase 1, UVA will specifically work on renovating the Oak Lawn property so that it can be utilized for administrative offices. During year 2, UVA will specifically make sure that these administrative offices are being used for purposes left open to Charlottesville City schools. When we enter phase 2 of the project, Charlottesville City schools will focus on creating a new facility building. In total, this project will cost roughly $128,154,411. While this might seem like a very large number, UVA has an endowment fund that will help assist fund this project. Basically, UVA will provide 3 separate donations that will total $115 million that will take over the bulk of funding this project. This will happen, phase 2 will specifically happen over the course of 3 years, in which during the first year of phase 3, UVA will specifically, through its endowment program, provide $15 million, which will help with Charlottesville City Schools mapping out the specific designs and architecture of the facility building. In the last 2 years, UVA will provide a total of $100 million through 2 separate endowment fund donations that will help provide the bulk of the funding that will support building the facility building itself. Thus, in total, UVA will provide $115 million to support the funding. Additionally, because Oak Lawn has the status of being a historic building, it will provide a 25% tax credit on all eligible expenses once Charlottesville City Schools submits a specific form to take that tax credit. Therefore, this entire project will comprise of 2 phases over the course of 5 years. The first phase will involve administrative buildings, basically turning the Oak Lawn City property into a place inhabitable for the Charlottesville City Schools to move administrative offices there. And the second phase will involve building a facility, education learning center to address the overcrowding issues. We'd like you to support our proposal and help continue to provide educational opportunities for the students of Charlottesville.